right. What is up, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday edition of an NFL live stream, obviously hosted by myself, Matt Modi, joined by my good friend who I've never met in person, Andrew Kim, aka the Parlaydoc. Andrew, how you doing?
Good, man. How's it going, Matt? I mean, obviously, we're riding our high from last week. Some of you caught it at plus 20,000, some of you caught it at plus 18,000, but it doesn't matter. Even if you sprinkled a couple bucks on that degenerate play that we put out there for you right at the end of the show, it was an amazing way to cap off that Sunday. That's the largest hit I've ever hit. I'm not going to count this towards my show record because that's just stupid. So I'm going to allocate like $10 worth to count towards my record, or else
there you go.
I would never go negative if I guess I could be a total degenerate and go negative, but I'm only going to, since I said like put a few bucks, $10, I'm only going to count $10 worth towards it. But I hope that some of you sprinkled even a few bucks.
Yeah. For those of you watching, if you just look at the screen here, you can see a screenshot of the ticket that Andrew Kim had. I was able to add a little bit of graphics. I shout out my graphics guy, whose name is actually Jed, who goes by Jedi, which is kind of funny. So that nice little, shout out him. But yeah, I was able to add the slip that you posted. So this is what Andrew gave out on the show last week. Obviously, a ton of, you really got to follow that up is the word that I'm looking for there. So we can get right started. Well, I figured we'd just start with the games, go from 1 p.m., 4 p.m. Sunday Night Football, then save the degeneracy for the end. For this game, Colts versus Ravens, I just put on the screen the best spread you could get for each team. So if you're in on the Ravens, you can get them at -7.5, -106 at Sport Trade. If you're in on the Colts, you can get them at +8, -110 at Barstool. Andrew, what did you have for this one?
Man, I'm not gonna lie, not much. I had to try to contain myself because I'm like, I don't want to go balls to the walls crazy after last week to try to follow up some degenerate hit like that. So
sure,
I'm not gonna lie, I can't really make up my mind here because the Ravens are just so banged up. I know I keep repeating that last season, this season, but I don't even know which way to go. The spread itself just scares me. So I'm not going to lie. For me, it's a stay away. I'm going to pass. The only things I'm going to sprinkle on are some player props. Usually the debate is like, it's a platoon running back situation. And you're like, I don't even want to bet on the running back because I have no clue if it's going to be Dobbins or Justice or Gus. Or right now they're so depleted. I'm just going to
nobody left. Yeah.
There's nobody left. So by just sheer nature, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on Gus Edwards to go over 53.5 rushing yards and just sprinkle a little bit just on Gus Edwards to score a touchdown. You can get over 53.5 at like -110 on like multiple books. And then you can get Gus Edwards touchdown. Let me see where I got him at. Gus, where are you? Where did I put him at? Baltimore. Let's see here. Gus Edwards. There we go. +120 at Barstool. So plus money on a very obvious, chalky kind of guy where there's not many running backs left. That's all I got. Otherwise, I'm actually staying away, from the spread itself. So what do you got on this one?
Yeah, so I actually got I forget when exactly I locked it in. I got a little bit of a better price at BetMGM. Gus Edwards over 49.5 rushing yards. It has been bet up a little bit. Shout out Liv from LA. Good morning. For this one, the weather's pretty gross. There's like a tropical storm going through the East Coast.
Yeah.
So the total since I made this graphic, the total is actually plummeted. Now it's at 43. I don't have a plan of total. I'm just pointing that out. I actually am on the Colts on this one. I got them at +8.5. I would still take them at +7.5. As long as you're getting over that key number, that's the most important thing. It feels gross, but I feel like a lot of times when a rookie quarterback is out for injury, whatever it may be, the offense starts to just look a little bit more functional. They lose the explosive element of Anthony Richardson in his legs, which is obviously a big deal. But at least Gardner Minshew is going to run the offense and get the ball where it's supposed to go. And I feel like that can be a little bit refreshing. Like we're going to see that in this game. We're going to see that in the Panthers game with Bryce Young out. And the Ravens, as you said, they're just so banged up. Like I really don't trust the Bengals, and it's a big spread. And I know that the Ravens historically are really good about covering big spreads. Like they just blow teams out, but it's a different Ravens team, and their offense is still a little clunky as they're trying to go through with the new offensive coordinator, and they're not really going to be able to lean on the ground game like they're used to. So I have the Colts spread on this one. I do like the Gus Edwards rushing in anytime touchdown. I didn't have anything on the touchdown. I do have the rushing yards. If you can still get it where you got it at 43.5, I think that's still pretty good. But my official play, like I said, is on the Colts.
Guys, yeah, I was really hoping, like, if I was actually looking forward to this, thinking, had it not been for the injuries, if Richardson was in, like, I would have just went nuts doing some combo of him and Jackson and just like a weird like running back SGP touchdown parlay. But with him gone, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Minshew will steady the ship a little bit, consistency. Yeah. So I don't know. I'd probably lean Colts, kind of like what you're doing, but yeah, I'm staying away from the game itself. It could be pretty ugly, in my opinion.
Yeah, so. Yeah, totally fair. All right, next up we have the Titans versus Browns. I have the Titans plus 3.5 on this one. I got them at minus 115 at Sporttrade. Now you can get a little bit of a better price at DraftKings at minus 112. I don't get it. Why are the Browns getting 3.5? Like, why are they getting 3.5 points here? I don't get it. Have we not watched Deshaun Watson play football? Yeah. I get that the Browns defense is really good, but the Titans running game is phenomenal. And the Browns just lost Nick Chubb. They're not going to be as good. I don't expect them to have any success throwing the ball because the Titans also have a pretty good pass rush. And we've seen Deshaun Watson play football. This is going to be a gross, grinded out slugfest. Both teams running the ball a ton. If you're telling me I could get 3.5 on the Titans who historically cover well as underdogs, they're 2-0 against the spread so far this year. I'm all over the Titans on this one. I probably wouldn't touch it if you can't find that 3.5. That half point is the key number. Like this just screams 13-10 field goal win for the Browns. So I'm not sprinkling the money line for the Titans. I just have them plus 3.5, but I just don't get it. Like why are the Browns getting 3.5 points here? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this one's simple for me. I had Titans independently for me. I had Titans plus 3.5. I took them at plus 3.5, minus 110 on Caesars is where I took them.
Price,
so, yeah, and for all the same reasons, it's just, I mean, look, you look at the names on the roster itself on paper, and you're like, yeah, like the Browns have nice pieces, but they just haven't put it together, and you're banged up, and you are trying to bounce back from losing Chubb, which is basically the staple linchpin of kind of how you're going to run your offense. And Titans D, not the offense, but the Titans D is legit, like you're saying. And this just smells grindfest. Usually I'll lay the juice on like Henry, but they're going to stack the box on him. So I don't know if he'll find the end zone. It makes me a little nervous. So I just see Titans clinging in there. Maybe they lose barely, maybe they pull off the upset, but I'll take the cushion of the 3.5 versus Titans money line. So I'm with you. That's the only play I have on this entire game.
Same.
So
I don't have a single player prop. Yeah, and I will say,
not a single player prop, exactly.
Anybody watching wants to throw out anything they have, feel free to comment in the chat. We'll make sure to get to it. But moving on, Falcons versus Lions. What do you have in this one?
Okay, so Falcons, I'm going to take Falcons plus 3.5. Got them at minus 115. Maybe not the best. I know that you could have gotten it like almost close to even earlier in the week, but plus 3.5, minus 115 on Caesars. My reason why is, yes, I know the Lions are at home, man, but they're banged up too. They're I think there's almost like there's so much hype train about the Lions and all the hard knock stuff from last year still carrying over that. If you just really examine it, I mean, they're kind of banged up. Their defense hasn't been where they wanted it to be. And you know what the Falcons are going to do. It's ugly. Yep. It is ugly, but they're going to be ball dominant, possession time, and they're going to grind it out. And it's hit or miss where, if you got Amon-Ra with like a toe injury, who knows if he's 100%. It takes a few 3-and-outs. And the Lions may find themselves in a deficit, and they're like, when are we going to get the ball back? Because all they're going to do is run it with Bijan and Algier over and over and over again, and the game's almost over. So for all those reasons, I'm going to take that cushion. I know what the Falcons are going to do. It's going to be ugly and nasty, but they're going to run. So Falcons plus 3.5. Bijan Robinson, anytime touchdown plus 111. I'll take the plus money, plus 111. I know he didn't find it last time, but I'll take plus 111 on Caesars for him.
Sure. I'm with you. I also have the Falcons. I actually was able to get them at plus 4 earlier in the year, earlier in the week.
Nice.
I would still take them at plus 3.5 if you could get like anything up to minus 110 to minus 115. I totally agree with you. The Lions are banged up. offensive line's banged up. They're missing David Montgomery. Amon-Ra's banged up.
Yeah.
And exactly what you said, as my dog wants to say hi. We know what the Falcons are going to do. They're gonna run the ball. And the Lions historically, by historically I mean like the past 2 years, have been better against the run than through the pass. But it's not like they're like really good against the run. They're 13th in DVOA and rush defense. They're 31st through the air. And just for context, the Falcons defense, which I don't think people assume is really good, has been pretty good this year, probably because how well rested they are. But they have the 14th ranked defensive DVOA. The Lions have the 23rd ranked defensive DVOA. The Lions just lost at home last week to Seattle, so it's not like they're infallible at home. And I feel the same way I felt last week when I was on Seattle. It's like, why are we giving the Lions so much respect when they've done, just because they ended this season hot last year, like they haven't done anything to deserve it. So I'm on the Falcons plus 3.5 on this one. I don't have any player props in this one. The Bijan, I like him to score. I'm not ready to get hurt again from like, I just could just see some ridiculous Tyler Algier gets all the red zone carries again. It's that's something that I'm scared of. So I just have the Falcons spread on this one.
Nice.
Next up, we got Saints versus Packers. So for this one, I do have a touchdown. Let me pull up my notes here. I have Tony Jones Jr. to score a touchdown in this one. It's at plus 340.
Plus 340. Where are you finding the plus 340?
I got it at Caesars at plus 340.
Wow.
That was earlier in the week. I haven't. I guess I should look to see what it is now. It might have gotten nuked a little bit.
Yeah, I'll look while you're talking.
I don't feel like it because so Monday night was incredibly frustrating. Jamal Williams, we had him to score 2 touchdowns. He leaves the game. Tony Jones Jr. scores 2 touchdowns. That's just that's the nature of the business. Whatever it is, what it is. The risk with this week is that Kendre Miller is returning from injury, but he's still a rookie who is literally injured dating back to his last game in college. He spent the entire offseason, the entire training camp, nursing multiple different injuries. So I don't think that they're just going to give him the majority of the workload. And Tony Jones Jr. did score twice in the red zone last week. And like, they're probably just going to give him the same red zone carries. Now, Taysom Hill is going to get his 7 to 10 carries a game, and we're going to hate every second of that.
Yep. Pretty much.
But the Packers defense is a defense that you can play ball control offense. And we've seen how bad Derek Carr has been this year. And he's really bad. Warren Sharp has been all over this in the red zone. Derek Carr is like the worst QB in the red zone in the NFL. So I don't think they're going to trust him passing the ball. And so I don't know, plus 340 for the running back that's probably going to get the majority of the red zone carries for a team that's probably going to run the ball in the red zone. I just thought was an insane value. So that was the only play I have is this anytime touchdown.
I like it, man. You got good value. It's been smashed down. Even if you go to the dreaded points bet that I hate, it's plus 290. If you're on more of the larger players here like FanDuel, it's plus 280. So plus 290 points bet, plus 280 FanDuel. I like it though. You sold me. I'll take it. And look, the run D is kind of atrocious on the Green Bay side. So I'll actually dabble. So I'll be riding with Matt on that. And the biggest fear is going to be, I'm not even worried about the Kendre Miller thing, like you're saying. It's will they give it to Taysom Hill for some gadget play at the goal line to vulture a Tony Jones touchdown, basically. So, but yeah, I like it. I could see them just pounding the rock. And in terms of the game itself, I actually just went, I didn't have a prop prior to that. So I'm going to ride with Matt on the touchdown on Jones. And then I like the Packers. So rather than paying the juice on, Packers money line, I'm just going to take Packers minus 105 on Caesars. I'm worried that they're going to get gashed with the run, but I just see it as like New Orleans is fortunate to be where they're at. I feel like they're an underachieving team that somehow, has barely scraped by. And obviously, look, Green Bay is overachieving. And at some point, Jordan Love's not going to be able to have his high pass completion rate and red zone stats. So it's bound to stop at some point, but Green Bay at home, I'll take the overachievers. I think they're going to get gashed on the run side, but I just don't think Derek Carr is very good, and it's been almost painful. Like my eyes almost bleed when I see the Saints in the red zone. Like my eyes bleed literally when I'm looking at the screen. That because of that, I like what I've seen out of Jordan Love. And I mean, from a receiver standpoint, until I don't know if Watson's going to play or not. I think it was a game time decision. So who knows? Even if he does play, if he's a full go, but if he had a few more solid, consistent weapons, like, man, then I'd really smash him. But I think they might be able to scrape it by. So I'm going Green Bay, and Green Bay -1, and I'll ride with Matt on his Jones touchdown scorer play.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't have a play on the spread or the total. I honestly didn't really know what to expect from this one. One comment, Gibbs breakout game maybe. I've been calling the Jahmyr Gibbs breakout game the past 2 games. It's similar to Bijan. I can't get hurt again. And in terms of Tony Jones Jr., Parlaydoc laid it out. You can get it best offered at PointsBet. You can get it also at FanDuel. And the next game, if you give me 1 second, Texans Jags. I'm going to let you take this one first as my dog is growling at the door. So give me 1 second and you can give your pick and then I'll hop back on in 2 seconds.
Yeah, look, I like the Jags to win this game. I don't like the spread. I don't know that I've seen enough consistency on the offense. And I think obviously the entire Jags fan base is just screaming for, better play calling, better playmaking. Why aren't you throwing it as deep as much? Blah, blah, blah. So I don't trust them to cover. So if I had to lean spread, I actually might go in Texans spread, but just flat out win. I think the Jags are going to pull off a win at home. But rather than that, I'm going to go with the total. I think this has been smashed down as an overreaction to the Jags' struggle on consistency on offense. And I actually think the Texans could put up some numbers. So I'm going to go with the total. My favorite bet of this game is over 43.5 on Barstool at -110. So for me, the main play I have is over 43.5 on the total. I think you're going to see, Peterson and the Jags come out, make a statement here. Look, fan base, we are going to score. We're going to move the ball up and down vertically. And I think the Texans are still going to find a way to score. So I like the total over 43.5.
I like it. I don't have the total. This isn't going to be my official play, but if I had to choose a side, I actually agree with you. I would be on the Texans on this one. I just feel like they're going to keep it close. I actually have a player prop for this one. I have Nico Collins over 51.5 receiving yards. He's quietly been I don't know, not a superstar because that's a little bit aggressive, but he's been really good to start the year. He's got 11 and 9 targets, so 20 targets through 2 games. Game 1, week 1, 6 for 80. Week 2, 7 for 146. The Jags defense, I don't necessarily think is that great. And the Texans, we at least know they're probably going to be losing. And they're probably not going to have a ton of success running the ball because they haven't had any success running the ball, at least through 2 games, because their offensive line is 4 out of their 5 starters are either playing out of position or just not playing entirely, which is terrible. It hasn't seemed to have affected CJ Stroud passing, which he actually looks pretty good. He's not one of those rookies who I think he does seem to be playing the offense the way it's intended to be played, which is good for him. I honestly generally try to avoid player prop yards plays on FanDuel because they seem to be the sharpest, but this is one where I'm going to break that, and I'm going to take Nico Collins over 51.5 receiving yards. That's at -114 at FanDuel.
Yeah, it looks like it depends on where you're looking, guys. You can find it anywhere from 52.5 to all the way up to 54.5. So you can get the 52.5 on MGM right now. It looks like, so it looks like it's moved a little bit. But here's a thought, just real quick here. What are your thoughts? Would you even think about or dabble because of the game script that you foresee, the defensive woes that I agree with you on a Nico Collins most receiving yards of the game? Or does the Ridley side or the Christian Kirk side of the ball get you worried enough about that?
Yeah, I worry about Calvin Ridley in that category. I mean, the value probably isn't there with Calvin Ridley, and the Texans are also missing 3 starters in their secondary. Their stud cornerback Derek Stingley's out. So I think if you were just saying who do you think is the most likely, this isn't a hot take, but it's Calvin Ridley. But you could probably get some pretty juicy odds on most receiving yards. I don't know if you have the odds up in front of you.
It's not so great on. I'm trying to compare, but on FanDuel, Nico Collins will be +440. I don't know if I touch it there. It's even worse on DraftKings. It's +330. So
okay, see +440. What that's I don't know off the top of my head, but I don't know what was your win percentage need to be what are those?
God, I'm the worst.
What does that convert to?
One Asian who can't do math, basically. So you're
I'm the most big odds converter. All right, so I partnered with Unabated. Exciting stuff. What was it? 440. I can actually look that up real quick.
Yeah, so +440.
440 is is basically an 18.5% win percentage. I would take him over Christian Kirk at plus 410 because I know that Zay Jones is out, and Calvin Ridley at plus 220. I mean, if you wanted to, just take Calvin Ridley and take Nico Collins.
Yeah.
And they're both for plus money. If you just put like a half unit on each, you're going to be profitable. But I do actually like the value of Nico Collins quite a bit at 440.
I'm always thinking degenerate for you. Always.
I appreciate it. I'll sprinkle a quarter unit on Nico Collins, 25 to win 110.
All right.
All right. Next up, we have Broncos versus Dolphins. This is one of my favorite spread plays of the day. Give me the Dolphins. They're minus 6.5 basically everywhere. I didn't minus 110 basically everywhere.
Minus 5.5 right now on draft.
Really?
It moved as of 2 minutes before our show started. That's what I took. So I'm with you.
Okay.
But it's at 5.5 right now on DraftKings. I don't understand the love for the Broncos.
Yes. The Broncos have the third worst defense in the entire NFL, according to DVOA. They got annihilated by the Commanders last week, who the Commanders might actually be good. But here are the last 5 possessions for the Commanders. Touchdown, field goal, touchdown. Missed field goal, touchdown, touchdown. The only time they didn't score was a missed field goal. The Dolphins, I mean, Russell Wilson had a good start. It looked terrible in the second half of that game. And the Dolphins have the number 1 offense in the NFL. And the receiver Waddle is out. I don't think, honestly, that's going to matter because they have a ton of speed elsewhere on that offense. I mean, minus 6.5, it's in Miami. I mean, I wouldn't even hate an alt like minus 9.5, minus 13.5. Like, I think this is going to be a total blowout.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Right here for transparency, when I saw that shift, and it literally like shifted as I was browsing, went to minus 5.5. I used my DK boost. So I would just take it normally without a boost, but I boosted it to plus 130, maxed it out. And I said on this show, I'm going to do $10, $20 bets to not like put all my eggs in a basket. This is a max. I'm going $100 max bet, minus 5.5. Just, I have to smash this. And I can live with it if it misses, but don't tell me against a terrible pass D, against one of the best passed offenses, that you shouldn't smash this. So I'm taking Dolphins minus 5.5. I also have a player prop. I tweeted it out earlier. If you follow me on Twitter, is Tua, just his passing yards, because of all the defensive stats. Tua over 260.5 passing yards, which was minus 115 on DraftKings. Smash that as well. So I like him to pass for a ton, even without Waddle. I don't care. And if anything, it's gone up. It's over. I think it's like 262 now or 264. So the batters don't even care because they know he's going to pass. So Tua over 260.5, and I took Dolphins minus 5.5. I would take them, like Matt said, I would take them up to 8.5, 9 even. So
yeah, get some plus money. I didn't write it down in my notes, but I also took Tua passing yards. I got it at 263.5. So you got a little bit of a better price than I did. But I agree with you 100%. I love that. Olave 75 plus, I think is pretty good. The Saints have some, like Derek Carr, some weird where he just seems to love Michael Thomas. Like Michael Thomas got a ton of targets, but Chris Olave is so good. 75 plus, I think that's pretty good. I don't know what obviously it all depends on the price, but on first glance, I mean, I love Chris Olave. That guy's a stud. All right. Chargers, Vikings, and 2 of the biggest losers in the NFL meeting up. What do you got in this one?
I mean, here's what the one bet, I just look, the total, I don't blame anyone who wants to take an over on that game because I don't know that either team can play defense or knows what the definition of defense is. But I took as my main play Kirk Cousins over 288.5 passing yards because I do know that they don't have a stout run game. They're not going to run it at all. They're going to pass 8,000 times today.
Yep.
This is a game where I could see Justin Jefferson just torching people. And the problem is, not problem, but the way I see it is, I also think the Chargers are going to pass 8 million times. So it could be ugly or it could be a video game shootout. I hope it's a video game shootout. So I'm just going, it's hard to believe, but I think they have less of a run game than the Chargers do. So I literally think Kirk Cousins is going to pass 8,000 times today. So that's why I'm going Kirk Cousins. I think this is a game where we maybe should come back to at the end. I think there'll be 8,000 touchdowns. And maybe this is a game where we just pick a bunch of people and hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, funny you say the 2 points you made. My play is Kirk Cousins over 37.5 passing attempts.
Oh, I like that too. See, I like that
it's
too.
pretty juiced at -135, so it's the value isn't phenomenal, but they're gonna exactly what you said. They're gonna throw it a ton. They don't have any success on the ground game, and the Chargers have the worst defense in the NFL.
Yep,
literally ranked 32nd. The Vikings are gonna throw the ball a ton. In terms of anytime touchdown, I like Jordan. This wasn't my official on my tater time. He was an honorable mention. I have Jordan Addison. It's +230 at FanDuel. He scored in weeks 1 and 2. Everybody's going to be everybody's going to be all over Justin Jefferson, and his odds, I think at last I checked for minus money. Let's see if I have it up here. Yeah, minus 105. Like I'm not touching a receiver for minus money to score. If the Chargers just try to blanket Justin Jefferson, especially in the red zone, I could see it going to Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison also caught 2 deep touchdowns. He could easily do it again. So for +230, like I've been getting smoked on my anytime touchdown picks. So I'm trying to I'm switching it up this week to try and make it a little more long shot, like +200 or higher.
Yeah.
So I didn't touch any like the chalk ones. For a parlay, it definitely makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I mean this game's going to be a shootout. I don't know about the over/under, just because it's a really high number, but like passing yards, passing attempts, touchdowns, all that stuff is incredibly juicy in this one.
Yeah, same thing. It's so hard because there's so many possibilities here. I mean, I'd probably just go for a value play. So I probably am going to lean on Palmer for a touchdown on the other side.
I like it.
Same reason. It's like, I don't know. Obviously, the obvious play is Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, blah, blah, blah. But, I feel like it's going to be these wide receiver threes that are going to get a shot today when everyone's, keyed up on the other guy. So I'll take a tiny stab on Josh Palmer +275. I think you could actually get him like a little higher on points bet, but I'm limited there. So I'm going to do Palmer +275 on all your other main books. So
could I interest you in a Donald Parham Jr. for +450? The tight end for the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, I could today. Yes, if there was any other day, I don't know. But today's a day where that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, I can see 4 guys a piece on each side lighting it up today.
Be one of those games.
It's got to like have a mathematician come here and just give us like algorithms of how it makes sense to like round robin these or like.
That's true. Yeah.
God. But anyways, all right.
I also do have the Chargers money line, which feels like the dumbest thing a human could ever do is bet on the Chargers to win. I think it's going to happen today. So I'm with you. My opinion. All right. Next up, we have Patriots, Jets. What do you got in this one?
Oh, easy. I have nothing else but this. I'm not even going to say it's under 36.5. I know it's been smashed, guys. So I don't know that you want to touch it when it gets too much lower. I think some books are already at like 35 or 34.5. Like, so I took it earlier in the week. I think I tweeted it out. So under 36.5 -110. I just expect a brutally ugly game. I have no faith in Zach Wilson whatsoever. And that's the only rationale I have. So under 36.5. That's all I saw it. I smashed it right away.
So you can get it. You can get, so yeah, it's 35.5. Let's say, okay. So it's 35 most places. Barstool has it at 34.5. And then FanDuel, DraftKings have it at 35.5. I'm actually going opposite. I'm taking the over in this one.
Wow,
Give me the over 34.5. That is such a ridiculously low score. And it's the grossest game of the week. Everybody's going to be on the under. At 36.5, I think that's actually pretty good because you beat the CLV by a pretty decent amount. Pick sixes, fumble returns for touchdowns, some special teams, some turnovers in the red zone. It's going to be a disgusting game, but that total is simply too low. At 34.5, I feel like that's an overplay for me. It's just what I wrote down in my notes. Grossest game of the week. Let's take the over. Sometimes it's as simple as that.
No, and you can see, guys, and I think both of us, we are on opposite sides of like crucial numbers, and that's the thing, right? Like you have to look at those numbers and make it make sense for you guys. So I could totally see it. It's really low. If you take the under with me, and I hate unders, it's going to get dicey because I could see exactly what Matt's like. A pick six will just ruin the whole thing. I mean, and you're going to be sweating the rest of the game, basically.
Yeah, it's just such a low number. Sorry, someone live V from LA is with you. Palmer +350 on FanDuel. Good vibes.
On FanDuel, really? Oh, I didn't see that. I thought it was +2. I'm going to have to go back and look. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Or maybe you got that earlier. Now, here's the thing, guys. I'm just saying, if we roll with either of our theories, right, and this is where there's synergy, I'm on the under. He's on the over. So both of us are saying the defense could play a role in flipping in either of our favors.
Defensive touchdown.
Defense, New England, man, plus 700 or Jets. Jets probably are better, but plus 900. Oh my God.
That's pretty good.
Man, I don't know. You just sprinkle separately. I wouldn't even risk parlaying those. They're so juicy. Maybe you just sprinkle a little on each one, guys. I mean, what do you say? I don't know. $10 a piece. I'll do it. Fuck it. All right. I sold myself. I just sold myself $10 a piece on those. All right.
And if it's like a special teams, that still counts. Doesn't have to be defense. I guess depending on how you take it, but that still counts.
Does FanDuel count special teams as defense now? Because they used to split them up, I think, or some of the books used to split them up. But.
So it depends on the book. Sometimes you can get defense / special teams. Sometimes it's just defense. It depends on the book. So I guess I think you're right. FanDuel is just defense. So you might be right there. So I guess you don't get the special teams part, but still.
Yeah, but if I figured the defense is going to score, so but okay, guys, I'm going to do it. $10 a piece on the defenses.
I like it.
I sold myself talking out loud. So,
all right. Next up, Bills versus Commanders. I actually like the Commanders in this one to cover the spread. Plus 6.5 at DraftKings. I think got nuked down. I can see where it is now. If you give me 2 seconds. It's at plus 5.5, pretty much. I mean, minus 105 at DraftKings and Barstool. I still like it at plus 5.5. The most important thing is like the touchdown's going to lose regardless. But I think the Commanders could be better than people think. Like, I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to be good, but their defense is pretty good. They defend 10th best defense, and their offense is pretty. I would describe it as feast or famine, where Howell, he can put the ball anywhere he wants it. Very good arm talent, very talented, but he's also, and this could just be a young quarterback, a little bit feast or famine in that he's got some pretty risky turnover-worthy plays as well. So if this game goes wrong, it's probably Howell turns it over. But just looking at DVOA, advanced stats, 11th best offense, 10th best defense. We see with Josh Allen what happens if he if a good defense gives him trouble. We saw the Jets game week 1, 4 turnovers. Yeah. Maybe he turns it over twice, but I think this is going to be a closer game than people think. I think that the Commanders are a little bit undervalued in that. I mean, they're 2-0, and they took it to the Broncos in that second half. And yeah, week 1 against the Cardinals was gross, but it is week 1, and week 1s are always wonky. And exactly what Mr. Mechanical said, you could expect him to get better and better. Yeah, I guess that's fair. Each week, Howell will get better. So will the defense. It's kind of a cat and mouse game there, but I like the Commanders to keep this one close.
Yeah, it looks like I'm on opposite ends on this one. So I'm kind of still, even though he can be such a klutz and be his own worst enemy in key moments, and I think that bad taste, is still in the mouths of a lot of bettors right now. But yeah, I think as much as I was disappointed in the Commanders' week 1 performance, I can see incremental improvement, and I can foresee Howell just getting better and better with more reps. So I think it's going to be a tight game, but until they get there, I'm going to use this as a prove me wrong game, and I'm going to roll with the Bills minus 5.5. And I'm even going to boost it on DK to get rid of some of that juice. So I'm going to use my other boost on that. So Bills minus 5.5, boosted on DraftKings to plus 130. I'd take it even without the boost. And then the one player prop I do have is there's going to be maybe some weather stuff in the first half, but it looks like it's going to be okay in the second half of the game. But I'm going to keep rolling with the young guy, Dalton Kincaid. I've been very happy that he's become kind of a regular outlet for Allen when he needs him. And I think there's going to be some pressure, and you're going to get some cheap dump offs in the flat to Dalton Kincaid. So Dalton Kincaid over 28.5 yards, minus 110 on FanDuel is my player prop in this game.
That's a very, very low. And it is and the other tight end, Dawson Knox, is hurt. I don't know if he's officially playing or not. I don't know if they've announced that.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of in the air, going to be closer to game time. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it was a game time thing. So I also factored that in. That's a good point. And he's been, I think it was 26 one game and then 44 in the other game. So if you're giving me, one game he barely missed that, and then I think I whiffed on week 1 by a yard or yard and a half or something, literally, and then he crushed that last game. So give it to me one more time before the bookmakers start adjusting that line to 32. So I'll take it here. I think it's a good spot for him. So over 20 and a half.
I totally agree. I'm just trying to find some news on Dawson Knox. Probable to play. So even if he plays, he's not he's not going to get the majority of the work. I actually was kind of thinking about sprinkling Dalton Kincaid anytime touchdown plus 360 at FanDuel.
Oh, wow.
Another one of those things where like, how can we find a guy that's a little bit less chalky than Stephon Diggs and James Cook? Like the rookie tight end is just going to get more and more work, more and more trust in the offense. And this was mostly if Dawson Knox was out, if he plays, he could just only get red zone snaps. So it's a little bit more risky, but also it's plus 360. So you're paying for the risk a little bit there.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, not that I want to make an analogy to like a murderer, but like, I almost see like this as this evolves becoming kind of like that Gronk, Aaron Hernandez kind of scenario that the Patriots used to have, where you have all these two tight end sets of very capable pass catchers. And later we might just have a debate where it's like a dilemma, like which of the two are going to get a touchdown. So I think I like Kincaid's progression so far. He seems to be very promising. So.
Yeah, and some good points from Mechanical. Josh Allen been turnover waiting to happen. Washington defense. I guess we got boots on the ground, raining on and off. Yeah, it's the West Coast got some bad weather. On this one, but we can move on to the next game. All right, so I think we're now in the 4 p.m. slate Eastern. Panthers versus Seahawks. What do you got in this one?
Not much. I'm just gonna roll. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like the Seahawks just are going to get no respect for a long time, I guess. So I'm still just going to roll Seahawks. I didn't think too much on this one. I'm not going to go heavy either. So I'm going to sprinkle on Seahawks to cover the spread at -4.5. I mean, all you got to do is even if you miss a field goal and you're up 6, you're going to cover this. So I'm just going to roll Seahawks to do what they do. Consistent, mechanical, let's run it with Kenneth Walker in the red zone kind of game script. I have not been obviously impressed by the quarterback play, but I'm just going to roll Seahawks -4.5, not think too hard on this one. So
sure. So this one I do have an official Tater Time play. I got Hayden Hurst to score a touchdown. I got it at 375. It is now offered at 360. I would still take it there. That 360 is at FanDuel. This feels as gross as they come, but I hinted at this earlier, similar to my logic with Gardner Minshew being in. Andy Dalton being in for Bryce Young he's at least going to be like a competent quarterback who will hit his spots and get to their get through his progressions. And again, Andy Dalton, he's definitely not a good quarterback, but he's at least competent. And I mean, just at the receiver position, they got nothing. The Panthers have nothing. Their target leader is Jonathan Mingo. Their second leading target getter is Adam Thielen, who's 99 years old.
Yes, 99. That's correct.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he just turned 99.
Yeah.
And Hayden Hurst, who's also 99 years old, is their third leading target. And the Seahawks defense can definitely be had through the air. Looking at DVOA, the 22nd ranked defense, but second worst passing defense. They also, specifically against tight ends, are the worst defense in the NFL at guarding tight ends. So this is assuming the Panthers can even get to the red zone. But if they do, they're probably going to look for Hayden Hurst. He did score in week 1 in the red zone. So for plus 375 or plus 360, you can do a lot worse.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like the angle. Yeah, I mean, it's Hurst or Mingo, basically. I mean, I don't really see too many. I don't know that there are any other bodies to throw to. So I think you.
Yeah, and I mean, Thielen got the garbage time one last week.
That was
I don't think
pretty hilarious, actually.
Yeah. All right, next game, Cowboys versus Cardinals. I don't have anything on the main lines on this one. The Cardinals are 2-0 against the spread. I don't trust the Cardinals at all. I could see it being closer than people think. I could also see it being 40-0. I have 2 player props. One, Jake Ferguson, anytime touchdowns, plus 325. This was not an official play. I came to this one after I released my anytime touchdown video, but for a half unit, I do kind of like the dart throw on Ferguson to score. So this was crazy. So Dak Prescott has thrown the ball 18 times in the red zone so far through 2 games. 8 of those 18 have gone to Ferguson, which is the highest on the team by far. The next closest target leader has 3. So he literally over doubles it. And what's a little weird, and this isn't going to obviously be something that's represented the rest of the year, but CeeDee Lamb doesn't have a single red zone target. Their leading receiver is Turpin with 3, and Tony Pollard also has 3.
Yeah.
So I think that for whatever reason, Dak just looks for Ferguson when they get to the red zone. This could be a game where they just run it a million times and don't need to throw, but you're not going to get any value on Tony Pollard to score. So I think that if there's a passing touchdown, I think getting the plus over 300 odds for Ferguson is pretty good. And then my other player prop, and I'll be quick, is Zach Ertz over 3.5 receptions. It's nuked at -135, but he's just the target leader on the Cardinals. He's got through 2 games, 8 targets in game 1, 10 targets last game. He's got 6 receptions in each. He's going to get targeted a ton. He might only have 15 yards. He's going to go 4 for 15, but all we need is a reception. So those are my 2 plays for this one. What do you got for me?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually have Ertz for his receptions as well. I even ate the juice, and I was trying to find any angle, and that's one of the few that kind of stood out as something that just seemed like on props.cash, just looking at all their charts, it just popped off the charts that, he's getting the targets, he's getting his fair share of looks. So I went Ertz reception. I actually think, and I think this might be tough on the Cardinal side, but I actually am going to sprinkle a little bit, $10 just on the over. So I'm going to go over 43 on the over on this one, because I could either see it being a lopsided, Cowboys put up, 28 or 30 something, and Cardinals get a garbage one, or like you said, it could be ugly and get ugly and closer than people think, and each of them just have to score 20 something apiece. So I'm actually going to go with the over. I think the Cowboys will roll them as the game progresses, but I don't know. You might get a few cheap garbage touchdowns from the Cardinals. So that was it. Just over on that, and I like Zach Ertz, just kind of like you did, very independently of you. So
yeah, sure. Mr. Mechanical, good play. Ertz has had 6 receptions in both games. Yeah, it's exactly kind of what
and that's why when you see the juice, you have to factor in what has been the historical rate, and it's people are always like, oh, it's like -130. You're an idiot. I'm like, no, if you're getting -130 and he's doing it 100% of the time, blowing it out of the water, that's actually not bad value. You can't just look at a minus symbol and be like, bad value. And you see too many people on social media, their comprehension is that basic. They're just like, minus, can't bet that. Sometimes you can bet a -200 and it might actually be good value sometimes.
It should be, it's the definition of positive EV. If you're getting it -135, but it should be -160, that's value. It's all about the implied odds. But all right, moving on to the next one. We have your Chicago Bears against the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you got for me in this one?
So all I got is that the Bears are a hot mess. So it was so weird. The press conference that went viral where they're like, what's going on out there, Justin? And Justin's
coaching?
Coaching. I'm like, man, can't say that stuff. And then, of course, there's some weird spin. They're like,
they hugged it out at practice.
Coaching meaning I'm thinking too hard, coach. Oh, come on, man. You meant what you said. So it's weird here in Chicago. The entire week it's been about we want Justin to be free, so we're not saying don't scramble. It's just scramble when you want to scramble, and it's just, and Justin's doing the same thing, doing damage control, saying no, I meant coaching. I need to get better / coaching, and it's a mess. So all I know is I think everyone's going to try to make everyone happy, and they're going to compromise, and you're going to see a Justin Fields who's going to revert back to his old self, and he's going to play Madden style video game football. And the one person he's going to force feed is DJ Moore, because I think he actually got the over, and I think this week's over is 1 yard higher, 1.5 yards higher than it was last week. I think DJ Moore hit that over in the first series. So I think you're going to see a little bit of that, and you're going to see Justin run more and just be much more intentional. So I have DJ Moore over 43.5 receiving yards, -114 on River. So again, DJ Moore over 43.5. I like it. He's his only real weapon, and they're going to be playing from behind in the entire second half, that you're just going to get garbage yards, even in that last drive at the end of the game where you pick up those garbage yards in a prevent defense. We'll get it there. So DJ Moore over 43.5. And I think we're just going to see a more intentional, I'm going to play hero ball today. And he's just going to I think he might even start tinkering and teasing with getting close to 70, 80 rushing yards. So I love the over 49.5 rushing yards for him. So those are my 2. And I actually like them. I like both those props a lot, even more than any main market.
So it was over 49.5 rushing yards for Fields?
For Fields, and over 43.5 receiving yards for Moore. And I really love those. So I'm putting 50 a piece on those. So those, in addition to the Miami Dolphins ones, these are actually my second favorite, even though they're props and not main market. So those are my favorite 3: Dolphins -5.5, and these two Bears props.
So I was looking through my bets on Pickett. I have Justin Fields under 60.5. So that's a crazy difference. That's like a middle between what you have and what I have. So it clearly shows you. But anyways, for my official play, I really like the under in this one. The Chiefs offense clearly is working through some stuff. They really haven't looked that great through 2 weeks. Look, like their advanced stats show that they're not like, one of the bottom teams in the NFL, but you could just tell by watching them. They're still working through some stuff. The receivers are terrible. They got a new offensive coordinator. Travis Kelce is coming back from injury. So I think that they're maybe this is a get right game against the Bears, whose offense or defense is like, I think, second worst in the NFL.
Yep, it is the second worst. Yep.
Terrible defense. So maybe this is a get right game. I more likely think that they know that that the Bears aren't going to score a lot unless something happens that we haven't seen through the first 2 weeks. So I think they're still going to try and kind of work through a little bit of the kinks. And I just have no faith in the Bears offense. Like when all the dumpster fire stuff happens all week, and even the weird thing with their defensive coordinator and like the reports that they got raided by the FBI, it's like, what the heck is going on there? Like Dan Snyder leaves the NFL. So all these teams have to like pick up the Dan Snyder, like just ridiculous, total circus mantle, whatever. So I don't think I just think this is going to be a really gross game. And so I got under 48.5. It's at minus 115 at both FanDuel and Barstool.
I can buy it because I can easily see this. If the Chiefs even go up, let's say 14-3, right? I could see them being like, you know what, let's experiment now and let's give our like third string running back and third string receiver some reps to see what we got. Like, and it could be
let's figure some stuff out.
Ugly second half. And in addition to all the nonsense you said, also at Soldier Field, they lost $1 million worth of field equipment. So like,
oh my God,
like vehicles and like construction equipment. Someone drove through a security fence and they drove away with over $1 million worth of heavy equipment of subcontractors. And Soldier Field said because it was subcontractors, the subcontractors parking lot, they had no cameras. So they lost $1 million worth of heavy equipment and construction.
Oh my God.
It's been a disaster at Soldier Field this week. It is from the press conferences to the damage control to the locker room rapport. Eberflus, his only comments all week, I just want to let you know, everyone in the locker room is real tight, so tight.
Sure.
Lean in. The theme this week is lean into each other. And when you give this rah-rah bull crap, just like Nagy used to give, I'm like, it's a hot mess. That's your main headline. We told everyone lean in. Okay, we're gonna lean into a loss is what we're gonna do.
Lean in, and not even to mention like the product on the field. Like you see those clips of 3 receivers running the same exact route. So maybe Justin Fields is in his head because the coaching is terrible. I just hot mess. Absolutely a hot mess. Some comments here. This is in the Commanders game. Brian Robinson over 14.5 carries. I like. He's been really good.
Yeah.
He's been phenomenal.
I could see that.
And in a rainy game, maybe they don't want to mess around with the pass too much. The 70-70 for Pollard and Lamb looks good in theory. I just think if that game's like 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, they might not have to play. Like the Pollard one, I like better than the Lamb receiving one. But anyways, last game of the slate, Sunday Night Football. I got 2 here. I got Steelers money line as my first play. I'm sorry. Why are the Raiders favored? What have they done to deserve being favored? I get that the Steelers haven't looked great through 2 weeks, but I think so. Look at the teams that they played. They played the 49ers, who one of, if not the best defense in the NFL. The Browns last week, whose defense has been phenomenal for 2 years. 2 years now. So maybe the Steelers offense, I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to be good. Maybe they'll be closer to like 20th in the NFL as opposed to 32nd. And that's a huge gap just from those 2 things alone. And like the Raiders are a dumpster fire, like the whole Chandler Jones thing going on. Jimmy G, like his contract might have been voided because the foot injury he suffered at the end of the year. Like another team that has a lot of circusy stuff going on. I trust the Steelers to at least be competent. I do not trust the Raiders the same way. And I also have an anytime touchdown, Pat Freiermuth. Another gross one. I like a lot of the gross tight ends one, but it's plus 260 is what I got it at FanDuel. Steelers offense has been putrid, but again, it's possible that they look a little bit better. The Raiders are below average against tight ends specifically. No Deontay Johnson and George nope, George Pickens just gets those ridiculous like 50-50 balls. He doesn't get any of the actual red zone work. That mostly actually goes to Freiermuth. I don't trust either running back because Najee Harris looks like he's running in quicksand, but Jaylen Warren is like an undrafted second-year player, and Najee was a first-round pick, so they're probably still going to split that workload, even though probably should go with Jaylen Warren. And like Freiermuth got in the end zone in week 1 in a red zone play. I could see the same thing happening. Plus 260 odds. I think the value's there. So those are my 2 plays for this one.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been laughing just because we seem to like the Steelers in this underdog role a lot. So yeah, Steelers money line was the only play. I have nothing much more to add. It's more they're consistent enough. And yes, they have their own problems. And Kenny Pickett isn't as far progressed as I was hoping at this point. I was very high on Kenny Pickett, and I really like him still. So, but it's just the Raiders are such a hot mess, and I know what I'm going to get from Tomlin and the Steelers that I just like them in this spot. I'll take the plus money as a value and live with it. So, I mean, that was the main thing that stood out to me is the underdog money line play. So,
yeah, we're in alignment there. And this is back to the Bears one. A question for you: Claypool over 2.5 receptions plus 154 had 8 targets last week. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think I don't know why we took Chase Claypool and even gave up,
basically a first-round pick for him.
Yeah, pretty much. But yes, minus the fact that I'm still recovering from the fact that we even have him. I don't hate it. And again, it is going to be a negative game script. And I think the Bears, from an optics standpoint, they're going to play to the very last whistle. So I don't see them not playing all the way through the fourth. Obviously, he's gotten a lot of crap for his effort in week 1. Effort was a little better, but at times I still thought he looked like a deer in the headlights on his route assignments last week. So I just don't know if he's all there or if he understands the route trees that they have for him, but he'll get his targets. And I think he'll get plenty in a game like this where they're going to be losing. And I'm pretty definitive they're going to be losing. So yeah. I don't hate it. I don't hate that angle at all. So
sure.
Yeah.
All right. Anything left on any game you want to get out, or should we move on to some degeneracy?
No, I'm ready for degeneracy. So I already have, I don't think I'm going to be realistic. I don't think we could top a plus 18, plus 20,000, but I got one for people that, want to dabble. So I'll save that for after we talk about our stuff. So
sure. So yeah, degeneracy, it's exactly what it sounds like. Degenerate parlays. That's definitely not something that you want to put more than like, I don't know, quarter of a unit, depending on what we end up doing. We always start with an anytime touchdown parlay. Last week was not as good. Week 1, we got 2 of 3 to cash. Last week was not as good. Yeah. Let's hope that we can turn it around today. I feel like there weren't any chalk ones that really stood out to us. It seems like we both kind of like the more of the long shot variety. So, well, there are a couple options. We could either find some chalk ones to get like 3 or 4 in a parlay, or we find like 2 of the long shot ones that we like, and we just ride with that. What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we don't talk before these shows, and I think in first and second week we came out like gangbusters with a lot of like chalky touchdown people.
Yeah.
And both of us I think we both focused on spreads and money lines and totals a bit more this week, surprisingly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say why don't we roll with let's just do value. Maybe we do 2 small.
Sure, that's a good idea.
2 small 2-leggers. We find like our 4 favorite mid-value guys, and then we dice it up a little.
So we definitely like the Chargers Vikings.
Yeah, so someone's going to score there.
Yeah, the 3 that we mentioned are Addison at plus. I'm just looking at FanDuel for these. Addison at plus 230. Parham, I liked at plus 380, and you liked Palmer at plus 390. Between those 3, I don't know if we want to do 2 in the same game. So maybe we choose 1 long shot from that game and then go to a second one. What do you think?
I would say I think I just feel like on the Viking side, there's going to be more legit opportunity for getting the non-Justin Jefferson receivers, because he's going to be triple teamed in the red zone. So why don't we roll with your ad? I like that. Let's go with the Addison angle. I actually like that as a value play, because he's going to get his looks. He's going to get his fair share of shots, I feel like, in the red zone. So
okay. And we both kind of separately liked Dalton Kincaid in the Bills game. Should we put those 2 together?
Yeah, how about that? So we can get that out of the way in the early slate, right? So we can
correct
sweat out 2 people in the early slate, and then
right. So Actually, I'm going to look to see if we can get better pricing elsewhere. But on FanDuel, just the two of them together is plus 1,400.
Oh,
so
that's not bad. No.
That's already pretty good. But let me see if we can find better odds elsewhere. If you give me 1 second, we plug this in. So we went with Jordan Addison and the Chargers Vikings. And then the Commanders, we went with Dalton Kincaid. Looks like that is okay. So it's best offered on FanDuel by a pretty decent margin.
FanDuel. All right.
I'm putting $25 on it. Degen, anytime touchdown parlay number 1.
Yeah, let me do that right now too, so I can lock in.
All right. If anybody has any that they like, feel free to put them in the chat. If not, I kind of ran this last one, so why don't you give me some that you like for this next one?
Yeah, I'd say I kind of liked the Ferguson one because you know, that really stood out to me. Like I didn't think of Ferguson to score per se, but like I've just been kind of perplexed by the lack of red zone targets for like CD and some of the other usual suspects. So why don't we create a 2-legger for like the late slate so that we can, if one dies, we have something to root for another Degen one.
Sure, I like it.
So why don't we put Ferguson in there? Since I kind of like that. But.
All right. So the other 2 games to choose from are Panthers, Seahawks, and Bears, Chiefs.
Okay. How about? Okay. Well, screw the Seahawks one. Let's go to the Bears Chiefs one because maybe either we do Justin Fields to just run one in and play hero ball one more week in a row.
Ooh, that's not bad.
Because if they're going to score. Man, he's going to score once because I swear he's going to score once. So
it's plus 175.
Yeah. And that's not even bad as a standalone. I'm not going to lie. Guys.
No, it's not. That's better than I thought.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's that simple. Because like I said, I think for optics, they're going to try, even if they're getting demolished, they're going to try all game. And maybe he's going to just get one of those pity, like I put something on the board, like we did something kind of TDs. So, and that's a legit opportunity. It's like him, DJ Moore. I don't know. Maybe if you get lucky, you toss one up to Claypool for a garbage one for a jump ball. Maybe you get lucky and Komet somehow finds an opening. But there's like 4 him and Khalil Herbert. Like there's like 5 people. There's only 5 people who can score on the Bears, if even. I wouldn't even count Komet, honestly. It's like DJ Moore, Herbert, and Justin Fields. So I feel like I'll trust Justin Fields out of all those guys. So
sure. All right. So if we do those 2, Ferguson and Justin Fields, it gets to plus 972, which is still pretty good.
That's not bad.
So that'll be our second one. Jake Ferguson and Justin Fields. That's also at FanDuel. Some of the comments, if anybody wants to do a comment specific parlay, Javonte Williams and Isaiah Pacheco, where were the 2 plays. I kind of like. I mean, I won't talk anybody out.
Pacheco's health though? Is his foot okay?
He's playing. I'm pretty sure he's playing. I'm pretty sure he's playing. Yeah. So if you want to get Javonte, he is best offered at Barstool at plus 135. If not, DraftKings at plus 130. And anybody who wants Pacheco, he is plus 165 at Barstool, plus 150 at MGM. So if you do that parlay, it's best offered at Barstool. But
gotcha.
All right. We're just going to ride with our official 2. If people want to ride with the chat one, by all means, I will not talk anybody out of that. It's time. You cashed us plus 18,000 and plus 20,000 last week. What do you got for us this time? No pressure.
Okay, guys. Of course, you have to understand hitting a plus 18 or 20,000 is a once in a lifetime kind of thing. It really is. So
I don't understand why you can't hit that every week. I'm just saying.
Do you understand how much FanDuel has adjusted that same bet? They're down to plus 9,000 now.
Yeah.
It's not worth it at this point. So you can't, don't dip back into that well. I mean, unless you put like a $1 or $2 on it. It's just, I know it sounds weird, but it's lost its value even at plus 9,000 because it should be like plus 20 something thousand. It really should
be exactly what it was. Yeah. But they're not going to take advantage of that again. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay. Here is, and again, please, $2, $5, something in that range, guys. That's what I'm saying for this one. But I found another one, and I like it because there's less games involved than that field goal one we did. Okay. So this is going to be, let me find it here exactly. It is right now, even as we're sitting here, it is still at a whopping plus 27,000. We're going higher. We're not going lower. So I'm even setting the bar higher. Plus 27,000. on FanDuel in the red zone specials, each team to score 1 rushing touchdown in just the 1 p.m. Eastern game. So not the late slate, not Sunday night. And I know some people got confused and bet different variations of that field goal one last week. This is just the 1 p.m. games, every team to score a rushing touchdown. Very quickly, I had a reason last week. I told you, man, I said there was a reason I bet the field goal one, right? So I didn't just be like, hey, it's cool to bet it. I said, this is the week to bet it, right? So this is going to be tough, but I'm just going to read off real fast the noon slate games. Ravens, Colts. This is why I wish Richardson was there, because then I would be like, each one's going to get a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little dicier on the Colts side. Falcons, Lions, they should get us 1 each. I can see that one. Okay. Bills, Commanders, I can still see 1 each on that one. Dolphins, Broncos, will the Dolphins need to run in? I don't know. They could probably just burn them, but I figure they're going to get 1 near the goal line at some point. But I can see that one being doable. Packers, Saints, we'll get 1. Patriots, Jets, I hope the Jets can score. If they can, we'll get 1, right? Jags, Texans, I can see it. The ones I'm most nervous about, Chargers, Vikings. I don't know if either team's going to run one in, right? So that's the game we're going to have to sweat. Patriots, Jets, I don't know if the Jets will get in. Titans, Browns, it's going to be so ugly. Maybe they're just going to loft one, like short passes in the goal line area. So those 3 games, and I don't know if the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins will run one in, but those 3 games are the games we're going to have to sweat, guys. But like I'm saying, I actually put thought into this. All the other games, I think we can get a rushing touchdowns. It's Chargers, Vikings. They might be so pass happy. Titans, Browns may be so brutally ugly. And I don't know. I would hope that Breece Hall can run one in, or someone on the Jets can run one in. Hopefully, if Zach could even get them near there. So those 2 games and that 1 team worry me a bit. But I can see the other teams getting a rushing touchdown. It's not insane to get plus 27,000 on this one, guys. And I know that sounds weird to say out loud, but
to be clear, it's plus 27,000. So let's keep our expectations in check. It's a long shot for a reason, but I like it. I put $2 on it. I love it. You cash first. I will ride blindly with you on these. But that is all we got, everybody. I appreciate you for tuning in. Andrew, I appreciate you for joining me. Make sure to check out him on Twitter. Check out his eBay store, which I put in the description of this video.
That's right, guys. And here we go. If we get either of those two-leg parlays or this insane plus 27,000, we will give away this Trevor Lawrence CGC grade 9 slab die cut. So special insert, and we'll mail this out to someone, and I'll let Matt give out the rules later on his Twitter. But so if we get either one of those 3, we'll give out this Trevor Lawrence. We already gave out cards last week because we hit that insane parlay out of a good mood. We just gave some stuff away. So,
if he's in here in this YouTube channel, Chef Boogs 2HB was what he was on Twitter. Gave him out to him, confirmed that he received it. Appreciate Andrew for doing that. Again, appreciate everybody for joining. We will be with you next week, hopefully after another week of cashing one of these parlays.
Take it easy.
See you guys.